Welcome to this edition of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Betsy, President and CEO of the Vegas Chamber. What happens in Washington, D.C. really does impact Nevada and our entire economy. And now, as we're working to recover from the impacts of COVID, assessing those federal resources is more important now than it ever has been. So this month, the Vegas Chamber, along with the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, is bringing more than 130 businesses and community leaders to Capitol Hill to advocate for the needs of Nevada. Here today to discuss that with me is our chamber chairwoman, Ms. Gina Bongiovi. She's the managing partner of Bongiovi Law Firm. And we also have with us Ms. Betsy Fretwell. She's the chair of the LVGEA, and she's the senior vice president of Switch. Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
I definitely thought you were going to say what happens in Washington does not, unfortunately, stay in Washington.
I know. You would think so, but unfortunately, that's true. So Gina, chairwoman of the Vegas Chamber, let's start with you real fast. Tell us a little bit about this Washington, D.C. fly-in and what's our group going to do while we're out there?
So admittedly, this will be my first fly-in. I'm super excited to go. I've heard nothing but amazing things about the event since I joined the chamber however many years ago. So the purpose of the fly-in is really to bring together a contingent of Nevada businesses to kind of go to Washington and be seen by our federal delegation and other legislators to know that we are not to be ignored, that we have needs in Nevada, and that we are here as a contingent of the business community to make sure that our voices are heard.
Well, and Betsy, you know, we've been partnered with the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance for, I think this is probably our third time partnering on the Washington, D.C. fly-in. And from your perspective, as somebody who has led our community as city manager, how important would you say it is for business and the community leaders to represent Las Vegas in DC?
Well, there's nothing like going to see our congressional leaders, federal agency heads, where they work. One, it sends a really important message that what they're doing is so important to us as a community that we're willing to fly across the country and spend several days there meeting with them personally about things that are critical to us as a community as a whole. And, you know, whether you're a business leader or a civic leader or one of our community leaders that works for a government, for instance, that messaging is really important because it sends a really clear, crisp message that these are the key things that we stand for together and would like to see accomplished in unison. And I think that message really resonates, and it really helps, particularly with some of the agencies that we meet with. A lot of our congressional delegation folks are very familiar with our priorities. It's important for them to hear from all of us at the same time so that they know we all agree and we're all on the same page. But also these agency heads and leaders in these various parts of the federal government, that message really resonates with them, that we made the time and effort to go see them on their own turf to make these things heard, frankly. And that's a really important message.
And you know what else is really interesting about this trip, because the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce is really the de facto statewide chamber. And this year we have an even larger group of statewide individuals going this year. We really are reaching across the entire state for this trip. So do you think it's important? I mean, I obviously do, but it really is. Why do you think it's important that we show statewide collaboration? Gina, you want to take that one?
Well, I think it's from what I know about even the legislation at the state level, if you have one group coming in, special interest group call it, or if you have one political action committee coming in and having one voice, I think it's easier to dismiss than it is when, like Betsy said, we come with a unified voice. We are two, of the larger business organizations in the state of Nevada. We have both, we're setting aside our rivalry with UNLV and UNR to come together to advocate on behalf of the entire state of Nevada. And I think that's, it speaks with more volume than if we were to just go as individuals.
I think so too. And, we work a lot during the whole week. And we also have an awful lot of fun. And Betsy, I think one of the first times I ever got to meet you in person and to talk with you was on the Washington, D.C. fly-in when I was a member. And so tell us a little bit about not only some of the highlights for you from a work perspective, but what about from a fun perspective?
Well, some of the events are incredible, right? You get an opportunity to see things and experience things that you might not ordinarily get to experience in a variety of locations and locales, whether it's cruising along the river or you're on the top of some incredible building in downtown DC, where you get to see all of the incredible DC buildings, the Washington Monument, whatever. Float your boat, you get to see things that you wouldn't see as an individual just there on a tourist trip or an individual business trip. So that's super cool. But the bonus of all that is that those events are so fun. Everybody goes, it gives you an opportunity to connect with old friends, make new friends, maybe new business partnerships, whatever it may be. And everybody kind of just relaxes a little bit. You get to enjoy each other's company, talk about things that are important to us as a community, and also, let your hair down a little bit and have fun and see some things you might not ordinarily get a chance to see.
And Gina, I know this is your first trip actually, but it really does create a lot of bonding opportunities. So I know you're going to really enjoy it.
That's what I keep hearing is that I think the priority being, going and advocating on behalf of Nevada, and then it's going and having fun and letting your hair down, getting to see those kinds of things. And then it's building the relationships with the people who go. And I don't know what order those go in, but I'm excited to experience all three.
Exactly. And Betsy, the LVGEA and the Chamber have been partnering on several things like the Workforce Blueprint 2.0. We've got the 3.0 coming up pretty soon. We also, the Vegas Chamber has a policy track, so to speak, and the LVGEA has its own policy track. So can you give us an idea of what are some of the topics that the LVGEA is going to be focusing on?
Well, obviously economic development, right? So we will be meeting with the International Economic Development Council representatives. They're going to kind of give us an overview of what's going on in the state of economic development across the country, what's important to us. We also have a unique opportunity to meet with the Economic Development Administration and talk. We have some very critical issues facing us as it relates to recently announced funding that Las Vegas and our metropolitan region are eligible for. So these conversations are going to be really critical. And to your point, Mary Beth, we've got a lot to do on workforce development. So really plumbing up that pipeline for workforce and looking at workforce gaps and how do we create those partnerships that are necessary to get the right employees in the right place for the right businesses at the right time. We're going to spend a lot of time working on that.
All right, excellent. Well, Betsy Fretwell, chair of the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance and with Switch, and Gina Bongiovi, chair of the Vegas Chamber, and also with Bongiovi Law Firm. We're really excited to have you guys going with us on the Washington, D.C. trip. And thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you in DC.
Yeah, see you in DC. We're going to take a short break. There is an awful lot going on in Washington, DC. So when we come back, we're going to learn what is the latest happening there from former Congressman Jon Porter. We'll be back right after this.
This is the story of two businesses. Andy made a lemonade stand and hoped people would come. Jill did too, but she chose a team to get the word out about her lemonade stand. Jill learned early that advertising with the right team gets the best results. At Cox Media, we do this every day, helping your business grow to meet its potential. With our marketing expertise, Cox Media is your partner for advertising success. Don't let your business get left behind. Let's grow your business together. Contact Cox Media today.
Welcome back to Like Nobody's Business.
Welcome back to this edition of Like Nobody's Business. The Las Vegas Chamber and the LVGEA are so proud to be leading the largest delegation ever of community leaders and business leaders to Washington, D.C. this month in September. Here to talk about what's at stake is former Congressman Jon Porter, the Chamber's lobbyist on Capitol Hill. Hi, John. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Mary Beth. It's an honor to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about how important is the Chamber's Washington, D.C. fly-in to not only Southern Nevada, but the entire state?
Well, and if I could even take it to the next level, how important it is to the national level because of the hard work that you and other members of the chamber, but certainly with your leadership and Paul, the government affairs, the national elected body, the national opinion makers are very aware of this annual event that the chamber hosts here in Washington, D.C. And what's happening now, whenever we walk to a member's office, the first thing that comes up is, when is the Vegas Chamber coming back? When are we going to get to see the Vegas Chamber? You know, and again, part of that is because you've created such a fantastic event, but it's also other members of Congress that ask from leadership, what's happening with the Vegas Chamber? What's happening in Vegas? When is the Vegas Chamber? So it's important in that perspective because people want to hear your opinion and that of the Vegas community because you are the largest and the most organized program that happens in Washington, D.C. every year. So you've established strong leadership and they want to hear more from Vegas.
Well, and we couldn't have done that without your friendship and partnership. So that's due in large part to you as well. And I see you're standing there very scenic in front of the Capitol. Why is it so important, would you say, for Nevada's business leaders to build those relationships in DC?
Again, we're a small state, although we have a very powerful federal delegation that represents us here in DC, but they can't do it alone. Our elected officials count on the Vegas Chamber being here to help carry the message. And I'm standing here at the entrance to the Cannon House office building where my office used to be. We're just a block away from the Nevada Embassy, and you can see a block away from the US Capitol. It's important because they do hear from representatives such as myself. They do hear from our elected officials, but the community of Washington and the leadership in Washington want to hear from the business community and from families in Nevada. So you're one of the largest on Capitol Hill.
Well, let's switch gears just a little bit. I know that, we've been talking a lot about infrastructure and the American Recovery Plan and things like that. What kinds of opportunities would you say that creates for Nevada?
Well, opportunities are solid because there is so much in these infrastructure and budget bills, to support Nevada municipalities, Nevada projects, businesses in Nevada. Also, what's critical is the timing, Mary Beth, because when the chamber's here is right in the middle when some of these final votes are going to be taking place. So we're good. Elected officials from around the country are going to be able to hear from your business community what their thoughts are. So it's critical. Timing is good. Infrastructure is important. And by the way, there are 3 different bills out there on infrastructure. Just as recently as yesterday, legislation was passed in the House of Representatives, which will combine into the other 2. So that likely will be voted on right around the time when the chamber is going to be here in town.
Well, as they say, timing is everything. And, we always work on a lot of big policy issues while we're in Washington, D.C. We've done I-11, Yucca Mountain. This year, I-15 is going to be a big topic for us. And we always have the pleasure of meeting with a lot of think tanks and, of course, the U.S. Chamber. Can you talk to us a little bit more in depth about what are some of those policy issues that the Vegas Chamber is going to be focusing on at the Washington, D.C. fly-in?
Ajay, yes, certainly infrastructure, as you addressed, because of I-11 and I-15. But also in the midst of this is the Congress is going to have to vote on the debt ceiling. And I know we only have a few moments, but if Congress does not vote on increasing the debt ceiling, there is a chance that the federal government may have to shut down if they don't take this action in the middle of September. So timing is good for that. Also, I think critical is defense. It's called the National Defense Appropriation Act. That has to pass this year as well, which impacts Nellis and a major part of our economy, but also to Homeland Security. So we have Afghanistan, as you know, right now is a very, very serious and troubling time for our families in Afghanistan. That remains a top priority. Certainly the debt ceiling has to be acted upon. Infrastructure has to be acted on. So all this is likely going to be happening while the chamber's here in Washington, D.C.
Well, and again, timing is everything, and it's just such an interesting time in our, not only in our state and our country, but our world. And so on that note, I know that, we always set up a lot of interesting speakers for our delegation to meet with. Can you talk to us a little bit about, for example, the Nevada delegation and others who our delegation will get to see this trip?
Yes, we have elected officials that will be speaking from across the nation. And kudos to the Vegas Chamber. One of the things that you've done so well is reach out to national leaders. Again, we have a solid Nevada delegation, but we also need to work beyond just Nevada. So we'll have guest speakers, a number of invited speakers from transportation professionals to water and infrastructure professionals. And also, I think exciting to note is a good share of our meetings going to be held at the National Press Club, which is a real highlight because of the number of national press people that will frequent the National Press Club. So again, we have Lights Up the Capitol. Actually, let me begin just for a moment. LVCVA, thank you, Steve Hill, LVCVA. On Monday, you're going to have top tourism leaders that at a brunch that you're hosting in concert with the LVCVA. And then Monday night is Lights Up the Capitol, whereas historically we've gotten hundreds of staff and elected officials in that mix to come to a major event on top of 101 Constitution. And then we have meetings that are going to be held at the Willard. We're going to be having a opportunity for the chamber members that are attending to spend some time on the Potomac with another major event in the evening. Plus, finishing off with a major dinner and gala that's going to be at the Willard, where we're going to have some exciting speakers as well. So it's an action-packed week. But bottom line is, Mary Beth, whenever we walk into the Capitol or into the Capitol complex and we say Vegas, they say, when is the Vegas Chamber coming? And it's really working with your leadership.
Well, and your leadership, Congressman Porter, we certainly couldn't do all of this without you. And we just thank you for your service to Nevada.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Congressman Porter, for sharing your insights. And we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Look forward. Please be safe. Thank you.
All right. You too. Coming up next, Mark Shearer. He's the Chief Revenue Officer of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's going to talk with us about why the Raiders are partnering with the Vegas Chamber and why you should too. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Becky. I am the owner and operator of the Beacon Center. We're a 2,200 square foot venue space located 1.6 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. If you're looking for a venue for a workshop, seminar, class, or even a birthday party, baby shower, or wedding, we would be a good fit. To get more information on how to make our space your space, contact us at www.thebeaconcenter.com.
Welcome back to Like Nobody's Business.
I'm Mary Beth Seawald, and we're back on Like Nobody's Business. We are here in the amazing Allegiant Stadium. I'm with Mark Shearer with the Las Vegas Raiders. Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're also a proud chamber trustee, so thank you for your service.
Yes, well, thank you for the invitation to join the trustee. It's been a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, we love having you on our board, and we love being here in Allegiant Stadium. Give us the latest on what's happening with the stadium, with football, the NFL, and the Raiders.
Okay, well, it's a lot to cover, but we essentially had our schedule release about a week ago, so we know when and where we'll be playing this year. Very exciting. We have 9 regular season games and a preseason game, all on the docket now. Our fans are very excited. In fact, we have a lot of fans here today checking out their seats, so that's been fun. As you know, we're all coming out of COVID, and we're trying to get back to a new normal. Up until April, we didn't have a whole lot booked here as people were trying to find their way through this new set of rules.
Well, so what's capacity going to be like at Allegiant Stadium?
In football configuration, about 62,500.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is that lower than full capacity?
No, that's
What's
full
max?
capacity.
That's max?
Oh, excuse me. The 62,500 is what the state would hold.
Okay.
We're certainly hoping for full capacity. That's up to the governor and CDC guidelines and what they have in store for us right now. That's the plan. Obviously, we'll do what's asked of us to just maintain a healthy environment, and if things change, we'll let the public know, but that's what our goals are.
Well, and I was fortunate enough to get to come for the draft party here at the stadium recently. Did you have a lot of folks come for that? And talk to us about the players that we got.
Well, the draft party itself, unfortunately, it's not what we'd hoped for a year prior, but it still was a small group. It was about 1,000 people. We were still under some pretty heavy guidelines in terms of where we could put fans, so everyone was sort of segmented a little bit, but I think everyone had a great time. Certainly great to open the building, get people in here in this building. The draft, I like to tell people, ask me in a year. I know our football staff is very excited about the draft. They're like kids in candy stores when it comes to this sort of thing, and the players they got, they all covet. So I trust them, and we look forward to a great season, great year of production from that group.
Well, we're all super excited about the Las Vegas Raiders, and from a business standpoint, as the chamber CEO, I look at everything from a business standpoint. I look at the stadium and all the fans that the games will bring in. So talk to us a little bit from a business standpoint about what this stadium and what the Las Vegas Raiders mean to our city.
Well, as you know, is a public and private joint venture to get this building built. We're trying to live up to our end of the bargain and have it full as many times as possible. We're hoping, for 30 to 40 events. We're hoping, we can go by that. This is a mixture of both private events, public events, but as well as anybody what this means to the corridor. When you can book events that get, as we like to say here, heads in beds, right? And we think we got a lineup of people who've been calling about use of the stadium as to add to a tour, to do one-off events. The list is long. It's encouraging. We're excited about it. We think it's going to add an element that this town is sort of ready for. And we're very humble in this, and we understand that Las Vegas has been the entertainment capital of the world long before we got here, and we're just trying to be additive to that situation. We know, with the exception of maybe our friends at the Speedway, there's not a whole lot of areas in this Las Vegas market that can support 60,000 plus. So we're that. The question of the answer to the question, where do I go if I have this huge event? And hopefully we can be that solution.
It'll be here at Allegiant Stadium.
Here at Allegiant Stadium.
And at the Vegas Chamber, our motto is we're doubling down on Las Vegas in 2021. I mean, 2020 was tough. That's an understatement. And we're doubling down on Las Vegas, and you are too here at Allegiant Stadium and with the Las Vegas Raiders. And you're looking at some new marketing plans, I think, perhaps, that you're kind of, wanting to get the message out maybe across the globe as to what we have to offer here.
Yes, and we're doing that through, our partners here at the stadium who help us book events. They work very hard to sort of go after the right attractions. And a lot of times the right attractions are coming to us, which is encouraging. To your point, yes, we think of ourselves much more than just a local, regional venue. We think of it as a global venue. We think this is a must play, must see, must perform at this venue to sort of be a world tour. So that's what we're hoping we sort of get the recognition for.
Well, we sure appreciate everything you do. And we were talking about you being a Vegas Chamber trustee. We're really proud to have you on our board as well. At the Vegas Chamber, we advocate on behalf of businesses and we work for businesses. Talk to us a little bit about what you get out of your membership at the Vegas Chamber and why it's important.
Well, I mean, the sort of obvious answer is the connectivity. I mean, there's no quicker way to get plugged into the pipeline of Las Vegas than joining the chamber here. The people I sit on the board with and the people who are members of this board, the list is long and distinguished. It's a fantastic opportunity. I know we get a lot of representation. We get our voices heard in Carson City. Our voices heard locally. Our friends at the LVGEA and Steve Hill, that group really respects this group, and it's just no better way to sort of insert yourself into that bloodline here in Las Vegas. On top of that, there's we mentioned Carson City. There's at any given point there's like 1,000 pieces of legislation going through that part of our state. There's no way for us to keep up with that. As you know, we're coming out of COVID. It's been tough on small businesses, medium businesses, all businesses. To have someone there who represents small, all these businesses in terms of watching out for us, even the, added restrictions, added, barriers to entry, and we just don't need that right now as a community. We need to sort of help these businesses come out of what we've been through. There's also the law of unintended consequences, and we have a lot of people who write bills who don't understand what that means to a small business, a restaurant, a hotel operator, and this chamber does a fantastic job of making sure those legislators, those politicians understand what that means to everybody, including our members.
Well, and to your point, Mark, you know, the Vegas Chamber is a champion for businesses, small, medium, and large across the entire state of Nevada. And to that point as well, we're also advocating in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and it doesn't go, a quarter doesn't go by where I don't get an email or some sort of news clip about our representation in Washington, some of the accolades we get at the federal level for the work we've done. Some of you may know small businesses have a chance to participate in 401ks, insurance plans. A lot of these things are first of their kind at the chamber level. Never been done before. And so it's fantastic to be part of a board that's on the vanguard of these sort of initiatives that are actually helping these businesses take the next step forward. And I can honestly say I was part of several chambers in the Bay Area, that combined didn't do what we do here on a quarterly basis combined. And it's been a refreshing change to see that sort of real effort, real commitment to the businesses at large.
Well, thank you. And, you know, the team at the Vegas Chamber really cares about this community, as does, you know, our board of trustees. The trustees, a lot of them are from here. If they're not from here, once they got here, like yourself, you love it here and you consider Vegas your home.
Absolutely. It doesn't take long. I think, you know, for someone like me who came from the Bay Area, your image, your paradigm of Vegas is very different. It's about the Strip. When you land here, boots on ground, put your kids in school and start to get to know the people in the community, you realize how we all row in the same direction. You know, it's a cliche, but it's the rising tide lifts all boats. And the people of the Chamber and the LVGEA and these other entities really work hard to sort of make sure Vegas is a rising tide. And that's why we're proud to be part of the Chamber.
Well, you mentioned advocacy, and you mentioned connectivity and getting people together. Some other things at the Chamber that I know we do are things like we help small businesses with advertising or HR and things like that, like this TV show. We have things like this that we can do. And I know that we do a lot of social media, and we share each other's social media with the Raiders and things like that. So has that been a help to the Las Vegas Raiders as well?
Absolutely. I like to remind people how small this town can be when you're talking about people who really sort of make this place move. And you know, the social media efforts, everyone's connected here. It's just everyone is, and it's at every level, and it's refreshing to see. It doesn't take you long to sort of get news and push good content, great content, or get a spotlight on something that needs to be addressed. So it's been very helpful. It's 1 degree of separation.
Boy, you hit the nail on the head with that one. It sure is. So, Mark, you're a proud Vegas Chamber trustee. Thank you so much for all your service at the Chamber. We appreciate everything you do.
Oh, I appreciate the invite to join the Chamber. It's been a lot of fun. Hard work at times, but it's very rewarding, and glad to be part of it.
Well, excellent. Once again, we're here at Allegiant Stadium. Thank you for watching this edition of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Seawald.
Vegas!